Hello, everybody. Thank you for coming back. In today's video, I'm actually going to be playing for you an interview that I did with Lauren from Farmer's Wife Carnivore Life that I recorded the other day. It's really good interview. The information that she gives, about the things that she has gone through and about her carnivore journey is really good, and it's really important to listen to. So I am going to be putting a link in the description to her channel. So if you get a chance, if you have not subscribed already, please do so. Also, just before I get started, I did want to let you all know that I did get the job with Microsoft, and I will be starting on Monday, the 25th, which is also my birthday. I am not sure how long the contract is supposed to be. There was a mention that it was only about 6 months, but at this point, I don't care. It's full-time work with benefits, so I am ecstatic. So thank you, everybody, for your well wishes and for your prayers. I really do covet those, and I'm really happy. So thank you, all of you. So here we go.
All right, everybody. So this is a one of those pre-recorded messages that I had talked about. I've got Lauren with me here from Farmer's Wife Carnivore Life. I love that name.
Thank
How are
you.
you? How you doing today?
Yeah, I'm not too bad, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing well. Yeah, I like I had mentioned before, I wanted to just find a way to try to get some of these stories out, especially for people who can't, make these bigger live streams. So,
Yeah.
this
Yeah, I
this
think
is
it's a really good
my
idea.
yeah. Yeah, and it's and plus I've got going right now. I don't know if you had a chance to see it yet because we're recording this on Monday the 11th. But I started a Discord server, and it's just a way for people to be able to chat with each other and not have to, just try to use YouTube comments as a place to, tell their story. So
Yeah,
I'm
I
just
saw that yesterday. That was
okay.
on your community post, wasn't it?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
posted that last night while I was at work because I find that I've got a lot of time at work.
Oh.
So,
Yeah,
but
I
anyway,
saw that
folks,
one.
yeah, if you get a chance, folks, just go ahead and check it out. Okay, so Lauren, why don't you go ahead and tell us about how things were in your life, physically before you started carnivore.
Okay, so it started last year, about a year and a half ago, was when I become really, really sick. If I go way back before then, from what I've learnt now, I was actually sick my whole life, but I didn't actually realize that until everything that I've learnt. But anyway, going back a year and a half ago is when I became really ill, and I had something called LPR, which they call silent reflux, as
Okay.
well, which is where you get like it kind of felt like an obstruction in my throat, like when I would swallow and I would have a like a lump sort of feeling in my throat and just
Oh,
feel like I couldn't properly swallow. It doesn't sound much, but when you have these horrible symptoms, they're just when you don't feel yourself, it's horrible, isn't it?
sure.
It's just not nice. So I went to the doctors like I did. I used to go to the doctors for any symptom I had, I would be straight down the doctors. And they didn't ask me anything about why I might have this lump in my throat. They just gave me a little pill called omeprazole, which is an acid blocker. So I started taking that, and I was taking that for a couple of weeks, and I thought this pill was actually making me feel a lot worse, and the lump in my throat felt a bit more prominent. But nobody said to me, "What do you eat? What's your diet like?" They literally just said, "Go ahead, take this pill, and you'll be able to eat whatever you want," basically. So I didn't know anything about diet, so I was just taking this omeprazole every single day, thinking this will fix me, and I can eat what I like, and I'll be fine. And so I was still eating an absolute awful diet, um, taking the pill, and I was just getting worse and worse. But when I look back on it,
Yeah.
I was getting worse because hadn't changed my diet. I was still eating the same rubbish food.
Yeah.
Um, and also taking the acid blocker on top, which I think didn't help because I think that lessens your stomach acid. Um,
Oh, okay.
it yeah, so it lessens your stomach acid. So it's making my stomach pH even less than what it was when it was probably low in the beginning. So it was just a problem on a problem. But I got to, I know, but like I said, the doctor, they didn't, I just can't believe looking back on it now that nobody said the answer to your problem is through your diet, but they just don't know that. They don't know.
Or they
Um,
just don't want you to know because they want you to take a pill to take it to, and then take something else and take something else. And yeah, it's just,
Yeah, well, that's exactly where it led for me because I came away and, as I said, the omeprazole was making me worse, and to a state where I was just getting more and more sick, and I started getting more symptoms. Then I was getting chronic ear pain, all my glands were swollen in my throat. I get just constant styes in my eyes and ulcers on my tongue. I was just getting really, really sick. I was not very well at all. And because I was feeling so awful, I developed severe suicidal depression.
oh yeah.
I thought, I just had all these thoughts going through my head. Is this how I've got to live forever? If I have to live like this forever, do you know what? I don't want to live. And that's just how I thought. And I could not get myself out of that. So again, I went to the doctor, this time for depression, and guess what they did?
Another
Gave me a
pill.
tablet. Yeah, so they said, here you go, have some antidepressants. So again, I came away with this pill thinking it was going to be a magic pill. I'm going to take it and suddenly my depression's going to be completely gone, which of course didn't happen. But I got myself into such a state, like I said previously, that I was honestly, it was horrible. I don't think you know how bad depression can be unless you have been there yourself, because before I suffered from it, I had no idea how bad it was. And I got myself into this state where I just did not want to live anymore. I couldn't see the point in life because I was unhappy and uncomfortable. I couldn't see the point. So why would I want to live living like this?
Yeah, and
Um,
just out of curiosity, so how many, from the beginning till right now, how many pills, how many different pills did they have you on?
so I had the omeprazole, like I said, for the acid blocker for my throat. Then I had a pill for my depression, and then I didn't take this, but they also gave me a pill for anxiety as well because I was then struggling. If I was going out to do my shopping, I was sort of getting panicky and
Oh
starting panic.
wow.
So they said, oh, we got something for that as well, for your anxiety, to make you less edgy. But I didn't actually end up taking that one because luckily I found out um, a lot about diet before I ended up having to take that. So I thought I would try the diet approach before I tried anything else. So luckily I didn't actually end up taking that one. But yeah, that would have been 3 different lots of tablets.
Oh my
Um,
gosh,
for
that's
this
just
whole.
crazy.
Yeah. And I'd never been on like medication in my life apart from antibiotics. So growing up, I had lots and lots of antibiotics, which is why I think I came to this state
Okay. Okay.
in the beginning.
And
Uh,
honestly, I mean, who knows? I mean, if time would have continued, I mean, you probably would have maybe started feeling something else, or you would have said something to a doctor, and they would have said, "Oh well, we've got another one for you." And then we got
yeah,
another one for you. I mean, it's just it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
it is. And do you know what? I also forgot to mention when I kept going back to the doctor about it. So when I went back for my depression and I said that, and they're saying, why are you depressed? And I'll say, well, because I've got this in my throat. I'm not getting any better. I don't think I'm ever going to get better. So then they also suggested that I put my omeprazole up to 2 pills a day and a stronger version of it. So I went from a 20 milligram to a 40 milligram twice a day.
Oh.
And then they did exactly the same with the depression when the tablet wasn't working. Oh, I think we need to give you a bigger milligram of depression tablet. I can't remember what the tablet was called, citalopram, I think. So then they also put that up as well. So instead of getting to the root cause, it was just, let's just throw medication at you, let's double your medication, let's up your dose. And that was all that was happening. That was all they, and I just came back, and it was making me more depressed because I wasn't getting better. So I thought I had the answer in these pills, and they weren't working for me.
So 3 pills, but then they increase the dosage, increase the amount. Oh my gosh, that's just insane.
Yeah.
So
And then
finally one day you find carnivore. Yay!
yeah, and that was a long way down the line, actually. I've been on such a journey. So this started about April last year, I think it was.
Oh wow, okay.
April 2022. And then so after the whole doctor medication thing wasn't working, like I said, I was completely desperate, and then I decided to go down the herbal route. So I found a
That's right.
naturopath.
Okay.
Yeah, I found her, and she was the first person that sat me down, and she wanted to know everything to do with my life. She wanted to know all about my childhood, if I'd suffered any illnesses in my childhood, what that looked like. And then she dug deep into I told her I'd had antibiotics. So she dug deep into that. Why have you had antibiotics? How often were you having them? What's my diet like now? What's my diet like growing up? She honestly sat with me for about 2 hours, just digging deep into my life. And I thought, wow, like a doctor has not asked me any of those questions that she has asked me.
Yeah.
So she was the first person to do that. And she did help a little bit, because she suggested that I cut out all the processed foods, and that I also cut out gluten and dairy, which I did do. To be honest, when I first heard those words, and I was depressed at the time, I actually thought, sod this, I don't want to live now either. If I can't eat dairy or gluten or processed food, what is the point? I give up. That was my honest thought. I was really, really in a bad way, where you can kind of get how bad I was. So those were the words that I wanted to hear, but I knew this was my last sort of chance. I just got to go along with it. So by cutting out dairy, gluten, and the processed foods, I obviously started to feel a little bit better, and that did relieve my depression a bit.
Yeah, and it's interesting just hearing just that part, because I remember you saying that in one of your videos not too long ago. I mean, how radical of a thought, the idea of, okay, well, let's give you a pill, just this idea of, well, what are you eating? I mean, just the fact that, what is, I mean, I could picture myself say, well, what does that matter? What do you mean, what am I eating? I have these problems. I need you to help me fix it. You want me to
Yeah.
change my diet?
Yeah, no, I know.
I mean, but I mean, you look back at it now and it's like, well, absolutely. And, but it's unfortunate that there are so many people that are out there right now that are taking, just like you, regardless of their weight, but they're taking pill after pill after pill. And
Yeah.
more than likely, just changing your diet could probably eliminate most, if not all, of those problems.
Yeah. And it's something that's so hard to get your head around, because before all this happened to me, for instance, I've suffered from chronic ear infections my whole life since a child. But if you had said to me, I can cure your ear infections, but you need to clean up your diet, that's what's causing it, I would have laughed at you, because I would have gone, hang on a minute, an ear is nothing to do with your digestive system, it's nothing to do with your stomach. I just would not have believed you. But now, after learning all that I've learned, that I realize that food that causes inflammation in your whole body can affect literally any area of your body, your brain, everywhere. And it all stems from what we are putting into our bodies.
Yeah, it's incredible. It's a huge thought, but when you actually look at it, I mean, in actuality, it's just it's a small thing to change your diet, but it's the radical results that are just incredible. So
Yeah, and I
So
think when these poor people are on medication after medication, these medication then cause side effects,
right.
which and then you've got another symptom, haven't you? And it just goes on and on and on. So they'll go to the doctors then for the symptom that this tablet's caused, so they'll get put on another
Yeah,
pill for that symptom, and it's just a knock-on effect, and you'll just end up taking all the pills.
exactly. Because you're just hoping that the doctor is what they're saying is correct, and that hey, well, they're a doctor, they're gonna fix me. I
They
think.
know, yeah, yeah, that's right. How ignorant we all were to it.
Yeah. So I remember in one of your videos, I think you had said that you kind of did carnivore for a little bit and then you stopped and then you came back. Is that right?
That's right, yeah. So, well, if I take you back after the doing the herbal, so I changed my diet basically. So I felt a little bit better. And then after changing my diet, I then had some herbal remedies, which I'm not quite sure
Right.
if I believe in them, but again, I had no other options, so I was just going to go for anything.
Yeah.
So this lady, she like made her own tinctures and stuff, and I honestly had with that about 30 different herbal medications or tinctures that I was taking for all these different symptoms. I've got a list somewhere, I'll show you
Wow.
one day, but it was ridiculous. Like my daily routine was I couldn't really leave the house because I was taking something at this time, this time, this time, this time. I couldn't leave the house unless I had a whole suitcase with me to take all my
Oh
herbal medication.
wow.
But anyway, so I
Look, I'm
tried
going
that.
on vacation. Hang on. No, sorry, I'm just going to the store.
Yeah, no, that was literally it. That was literally. I think I had a wedding one time when I was on all this herbal stuff, and I literally did have to take it all with me in this
Oh
bag, and I was
gosh.
also like quite embarrassed about taking it all, so I used to like just nip off to the toilet and sort of take a shot of this herbal tincture, a bit like a drug addict actually,
It's like,
but
hey, what's
it's
that?
yeah, no, that was literally what I was doing. But I did that for a few months, and I just wasn't right. I was still getting symptoms. I was still getting styes in my eyes. I was still getting reactions, and then I would phone up
Yeah.
my herbalist, and I would say, "Oh, something's still not right. I'm reacting to something." And then it would be cut out this, cut out this. At this time, though, I was on pretty much pure vegetables. I ate oats
Wow.
in the morning. That was my breakfast. I had salmon or chicken with vegetables for lunch, and then I did exactly the same again for tea for my dinner. And if I wanted a snack, I would have a bowl of oats because that was all I felt safe on. I didn't
Wow.
want to go away from that because I was too worried that I was going to flare up or something. I was going to get some sort of symptom. Yeah, well, I would have like low fat meat. So I would have like salmon without the skin, and I'd have chicken without the skin because my herbalist lady, she did say, whatever you do, if you have meat, make sure you take off the skin or cut off the fatty bits because with acid reflux, she said that is the worst thing you can put in your body is the fat that will aggravate the acid reflux. So that's what I was doing. So I
Wow.
trusted her at that point. So I was on really high vegetable. I literally filled my plate with vegetables because I was constantly so hungry all the time. And I was just constantly thinking, when is my next meal? I'd eat my breakfast and think I could just eat that all over again 10 times. And I'd be waiting for lunch, counting down the hours. Come on, come on, come on. So I'd then make my lunch, and then again I could eat that again and again. I was just constant. I was literally starving. I was so hungry, and
Wow.
everybody got really worried about me because I lost so much weight.
Yeah.
And I went to my lowest weight that I had been probably since I went down to about the same weight as I was when I was an early teenager, probably about 11 or 12. I went down to the same weight. I just got so thin because I was effectively starving my body.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so I was on this diet for ages, and like I said, I still wasn't healed. I still had swollen glands. I was getting styes in my eyes. I had ear pain. I was just getting lots of different problems. Um, and I just felt like I was kind of getting a bit depressed again because I just felt like I've tried everything now and I'm never going to get better. So I've just got to accept that I'm going to live like this, and that's how it is.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until one day I was making, because I was still cooking the same for my family. They was all still eating normally.
Yeah.
So I was making them a roast dinner actually, and they were having roast lamb. And I was cooking the lamb, took it out of the oven, and that smell just hit me. And I looked at that lamb, and it was so, because lamb is so fatty, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
lovely. And I looked at it and I thought, oh my God, I just really, really want to eat that lamb. My body was actually screaming at me to eat it. And I thought, no, I can't, because I've been told I can't have fatty meat. I can't eat the fat because I'll suffer later. I'll have my acid reflux and all this. And so I was plating up the dinner for my husband and my children, and I was just so tempted. I just sort of, oh, I've just got to eat some of that. My body was honestly screaming at me.
Wow.
So overwhelmingly screaming at me to eat that meat. So I actually went on to good old Google and I typed in, is eating meat with fat that bad for you? And like, will it affect my acid reflux? And within a few searches, I found something on the carnivore diet, and I thought,
Mm-hmm.
ooh, clicked on that. So I hadn't heard anything about it before. Clicked on that and read a bit about it, and I thought, oh, that's interesting. So then I did a bit more research on it, and I thought, yeah, that does sound right. But I just sort of done a little bit there and then, to the point where I felt comfortable to go and eat some lamb. So I thought,
Right.
oh, sod it, like I'm just gonna do it because my body is screaming at me. And I ate some lamb, and I had all my other, I had some quinoa, like a little, I don't know if you know what that is. It's like a little grain, like
Yeah.
it's almost
Yeah.
like rice. Yeah. Because I used to eat that piled high, because to try and fill me up. And so I had all my quinoa, all my vegetables piled high, and then I just slapped on some of this lamb, and I ate that lamb, and honestly, I can still remember now. Honestly, yeah, that was the most delicious tasting food that I had had in a long, long time. And now I think the reason why for that was because my body was physically starving, and that was the first time that it was eating fat and this nutritious lamb, that it was,
Yep.
my body was just like, thank you so much for feeding me this food. And it was so delicious. It was just amazing.
Yeah.
So from there, all day then, I did feel a bit bad because I kind of ignored my husband and my kids, because I was in my phone then like this, just researching and
Ouch.
researching. Yeah. On YouTube and anything that I could, just researching this carnivore diet. And the more I read about it, the more in my mind that I just felt everything was clicking and falling into place. And I'm like, yes, this makes sense. Yes,
Yeah.
this makes sense. And all the, yeah, all the I can't think of the word I'm trying to get now, but the backup evidence that people
Mm-hmm.
have described for the
Yeah.
carnivore diet, I really believed in, and I could see, I could make sense of it all. And it
Yeah.
honestly just clicked like that. And I thought, yes, I believe this. I really believe this. So from that day, I'd had my lamb that lunchtime. And then the next day, I just jumped straight in. I did read that you probably shouldn't jump straight in, but again, I was desperate. I didn't care. I was going for it.
Yeah.
So the next morning I woke up and I literally had a great big steak for breakfast, and I had a couple of lamb chops for my dinner, and that was day one. And then from there I did about 3 months solid
Okay.
carnivore, and I just straight away, I can't remember what day, probably day 2, that I started noticing that inflammation was going down in my body. However, I did have the transition and adaptation symptoms pretty bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
For about, I
Yeah.
had
Because
those for about 2 solid weeks.
yeah. Yeah. Because it's your body just saying, look, I don't know what you're giving me now, but all this other garbage that's in here, I got to get it out.
Yeah. That's exactly what it was doing.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, for 2 solid weeks, I had these horrible, horrible symptoms. But I had read about those as well, so I knew that that was kind of normal, and I
Right.
just knew that I had to push on through that. Again, I was willing to try anything. If it took 2 weeks of diarrhea, I would take it because I was desperate. So I was gonna willing to try anything. Um, so I did that for 2 weeks and then managed to get over. I added in electrolytes. I didn't start with electrolytes, which
Right.
probably was a problem. Again, that was me being ignorant. I did read and hear from a lot of people on YouTube that you should start with your electrolytes and make sure that you're taking them. And I thought, nah, that's another expense. I can do it without electrolytes. But turned out I absolutely couldn't.
You're right.
Um, but 2 weeks in, I decided, yes, I'm going to put the electrolytes in, and it
Mhm.
definitely had a dramatic impact on me and
And,
completely
and
changed it all around.
and how long ago was that before you started again? How long ago had you been doing that?
So this is May. I started in May this year,
Okay.
May 2023. And then I did that for 3 months,
Okay.
solid carnivore. And
Okay.
in that time, I had a bit of variation. Some of it was just lion diet, and other times I tried adding in eggs and cheese and other things.
Okay.
But I did kind of settle with lion diet because I actually do best with just beef and lamb ruminant meat.
Right. Right. Okay.
I I'd added in eggs and other things and was having negative reactions. So
Yeah.
straight away, as soon as I got a negative reaction, I threw them out.
Through them. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that brings us to now. So you had done, so you started in May, you did 3 months. And then so what happened? So that would have brought us to July. And I know
Mhm.
that the videos that you put out, you're at around day 30-ish, I think.
Yes, well, I don't know if you've seen my recent videos, but I also had another little slip up lately.
Yeah.
So I'm I'm back on it now, and I'm
Yeah.
back on track, but I've sort of lost count of where I am at the moment.
Okay. Okay.
Um, but basically I did the 3 months, and then I had a family wedding, and I was in a situation where obviously they have a vegetarian option and they have a vegan option, but there was no option for a carnivore. So
Of course.
I was away, I wasn't at home. Um, we were away in Devon, which
Hmm.
is quite a little way from where we are, and it was just one of those situations where there was no option for me, and I was
Okay.
hungry. I wasn't prepared. I didn't have anything with me, and I just
Hmm.
ate the food that was available. And
Right.
once I had done that, I did that for the initial wedding day. We were away the whole weekend, so I ate like that the whole weekend. And then I ended up eating normal food for another 4 days when I was back at home before I got back into carnivore again.
Okay. Yeah, you should have just went down the street to find a butcher. Hello.
Yeah,
Can you give me
yeah.
food?
But I think these things are all learning, and that's why I love having my YouTube channel, because I have
Yeah.
my subscribers, bless them, they are very good at advising me. I'll just put on there like any advice, what I can do next time. It's all
Hmm.
learning curve. So, and then one of my subscribers said just to make sure that you're prepared and take things with
Yeah.
you. Think
Yeah.
ahead rather than be stuck in that situation. Oh my God, I got nothing to eat. What am I going to do? If you think ahead, right, I'm going to be at this wedding. There probably isn't going to be food that I'm going to eat. So
Right.
be prepared, take this or whatever, or look for places nearby that perhaps have food that I can eat.
Right.
Um,
Exactly.
but yeah, that's the beauty of having my little YouTube channel. I think I appreciate all the advice coming from other people.
Yeah, and and I mean, sometimes, unfortunately, you're going to be in a situation like that where you're going to obviously a large event, so they're catering to what they believe everybody wants, and then in actuality, you've got somebody who it doesn't eat that way, and and who knows, there could have been a couple other people there who maybe were maybe just doing like low carb as well, but well, there's only vegan or vegetarian, so I'm just going to have to eat that, and and that's why, like, I always talk, I've been talking about, if you fall off the wagon, well, the wagon's still right there. So if
Exactly.
if you stumble for a meal or for a day, yeah, you're probably going to beat yourself up, but then it's like at some point you got to say, okay, I'm going to stop swinging at myself. It's over. I had a good time. Yeah, my diet and I didn't get along, but you know what? Now I'm home. Let's just keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it actually makes you, once you know how good you feel on carnivore, when you come off, I think I was fine for about 3 days. I was fine for the initial weekend, and I thought, oh, I'm not actually having any reactions. It
Right.
wasn't until about the end of day 3 that I started getting my symptoms back.
Yeah.
And I would have tinnitus in my ear, my glands were swelling, styes in my eyes, all my usual little symptoms, a bit of acid reflux. Um, it wasn't until they start coming back that then you remember how bad you were feeling, and then
Yeah.
straight away you think, oh, I can't feel like that again. I can't be feeling, I can't go back down that road again.
Right.
So then that makes you soon want to pick back up, right, tomorrow, that's it, I'm going back on carnivore.
Yeah.
And you know that you can get yourself better with carnivore pretty quickly. It only takes a day or two, and then you're back to your non-inflamed state.
Right. Because at that point, because it's only, 2, maybe 3 days. Yeah, you've got a little bit of the junk still in your system, but yeah, like you said, it's not going to take you long to, get that stuff out. Because then, you're not having to go through like the 2 or 3 weeks of, from the original, because you only did it for a couple days.
Yeah. That's why
And
I
folks,
started blogging it this time, because I thought, oh, I'm going to start documenting it after I cheated for that wedding weekend, just because I thought it'd be interesting to see if I went through the same adaptation symptoms after doing carnivore for 3 months and cheating for a few days.
yeah,
And I didn't have well, I had a few things. Started having a little bit of acid reflux after eating meat, but I think that was just my body again adjusting to high fat rather than high carb.
right.
And it was honestly just a few days. Well, you can see in my shorts anyway that like what happened to me, but it didn't take very long at all, and I didn't have any adaptation transition symptoms like I
Yeah.
had the first time. So it definitely wasn't half so bad.
Yeah. And folks, I mean, this is another very good example right here of, is this all in her head? Is she just, she has been eating this way for a long time, and then she just goes for a couple days and eats what the rest of the world eats, and then she comes back, oh no, you didn't really have these problems. You just think you do. Folks, you people, your own body, all the symptoms that you have.
Yeah,
And what happens is, Lauren went for a couple of days going back to the junk, and then almost instantly the stuff comes back. So I mean, this is proof right here that you if you start doing this again, yes, you may fall, you may fail. It's not it's not a big deal. Just get right back on that cart. But it's the idea that just changing your diet is going to change your life.
absolutely. And so quickly. I think it can happen so quickly.
Yeah.
Something so simple, and it could just happen in such a short amount of time.
Yeah. Yeah, I know, like for me, when I started, I did the same thing. I just went whole hog, pun intended. I just went whole
Mhm.
hog and just decided to just go for it. And yeah, I had a lot of issues, like going to the bathroom and stuff like that. But I mean, I was just same thing. I was just at a point where I was like, I don't care. I cannot keep living the way that I am. And see, my mom had actually, she had started like a week before, about a couple weeks before, and
Oh,
she was having just, she was feeling so much better when she started, and she kept telling me about this. And then she showed me the doctor, the Ken Berry video about carnivore basics, and I think I watched that like twice. And honestly, for me, that was all I really needed.
yeah.
That and the way that she was feeling, that was it. That was it for me. And then I just started, on May 11th, and I just, I haven't turned back. and unfortunately, she has some um, digestive issues that she has diverticulitis, or whatever
Oh,
the other term is. Yeah. So
yeah,
that,
not nice.
unfortunately, she has problems, digesting anything. It doesn't come
Hmm.
up all the time, but unfortunately, changing the diet doesn't fix this. It's
Yeah.
it's little pockets within your intestines,
Mhm.
and so she had to actually stop. We're hoping that maybe she'll be able to. There is a procedure that can actually go in and remove that part of the intestine, um, and
Oh, her.
that will remove all those pockets. She's just obviously not feeling 100% about the idea, but
Yeah.
I'm hoping that if she does decide to do this, because I think if she does, it's going to be probably early next year. But and the what she's read online is that it will take probably years. If those symptoms come back, that it's going to take a long time for it to manifest again. So,
Yeah.
but anyway, the point is that um, for almost all the symptoms that have been just kind of progressing in your life. I mean, even anxiety, even depression, folks, that's not a physical thing. That is a mental thing.
Mhm.
And it can be changed by just changing your diet. It's
Yeah.
not a
It
gimmick.
really can. Again, with that, I would have probably laughed at you a year and a half ago if you'd said, "Oh, you got depression, you should change what you eat." Again, why would you think, "Oh, your brain's got nothing to do with your digestive
Exactly.
system. It's not
Exactly.
connected." It completely is,
Yeah.
and I am living proof of that.
Yeah. So this is one of the questions that I really want to make sure that you have time to answer in depth is, do you feel right now, looking at everything that has happened in your life since you were a child up until this point, do you feel that going to carnivore was the right decision for you?
Absolutely, 100%. And I honestly, I don't like to say this, but if I hadn't have found carnivore, I don't actually know if I'd be here now, to be honest,
Yeah.
because I was in a bad way. I was
Yeah.
in a bad way.
Yeah.
And as I said to you, carnivore was my last hope.
Yeah.
And when I started seeing improvements, I could just hang on to that hope and think, actually, something is
Yeah.
working for me. And
Yep.
then with that, then you get all the benefits that come along with it. You start sleeping better,
Yep.
waking up early in the morning, but not only waking up early, you're waking up and you want to get out of bed, you want to go and do things. I'm thinking, what can I go and do? I can go and do my washing. I'm just so proactive. I'm just getting everything done. Whereas before, I'd wake up in the morning and think, oh, I don't want to get out of bed today. I'd lie there for about an hour on my phone, maybe,
Mm-hmm.
just not really wanting to get out. But that happens as well. When I cheated at the wedding, I definitely found that I went back to that. I couldn't get up in the mornings that
Yep.
quickly. I could
Yep.
not get up, and that in itself was quite depressing because I'm thinking, oh, I do miss waking up early and being like, yeah, let's go and do this, let's go do this, let's go do this.
Yeah.
And I can just keep going all day, just go, 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 go. Like nothing's too much effort and everything is just so easy. And I've just got this constant energy, which, and like I said, with the wedding, when I cheated, that definitely went away really, really quickly.
Right. So how does your family feel about this, and have they, and I think I already know the answer, but have they seen an improvement in your life since you started just a few months ago? Have they seen a real change in your life?
Yes, well, my immediate family, my kids are a little bit too young to sort of understand really. But my husband certainly, because when I first learnt about all this carnivore, I was probably boring him to death because I'm telling him all this stuff. I'm like, look what I found. This. It's all backs up the carnivore diet. We are carnivores. And I was just on and on with all these facts.
Yeah.
And because he suffers from plantar fasciitis in his foot, and he
Hmm.
gets um, lots of seasonal allergies. He gets blocked up, and
Mhm.
he has a few issues.
Yeah.
And when you know about all this, I would say to him, he'd come in and say, "Well, my foot's bad," and I'd say, "You know what? Fix that, a carnivore diet." And he would be like, "No, that's ridiculous. Carnivore, like, that's got nothing to do with what I'm eating." But then I'd be quiet. Then I'd be like, "Okay, all right. If that's what you think, that's fine. I'm not going to get into an argument about it."
Yeah.
Um, but then as time went on and he saw what it was doing for me, he
Mhm.
slowly started eating. He's not full carnivore, but he's on a bit of a, I don't know, do you follow Paul Saladino? Or have you
A
seen him
little bit, a
carnivore?
little bit, yeah.
Yeah, well, he has an animal-based diet with dairy, meat, mainly dairy and meat, and then he also
Okay.
has fruit as well.
Okay.
Um, so my husband's kind of doing that now, and he
Okay.
said to me the other day, well, we went away to London. I don't know if you saw my video on that, but I ended up coming off the wagon there as well.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
and so did he. And he said to me after London, he said, "Do you know what?" He said, "I think you might be right." He said, "Because since going to London and eating that," he said, "I'm more blocked up than I've been."
Yep.
He gets the pain in his leg, and he said, "I haven't had that for ages, and that's back." And also his plantar fasciitis was back.
Yep.
And I didn't say I told you so, but I just thought inside, I was like, I'm so glad that you have found that you can see for yourself
Yeah.
how your food is impacting you.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I think he finally gets it. I think he's I think he's awakening to it. He's not awakened, but
Right.
he's getting there. He's seeing the little improvements. So,
His
and then
his
this
eyes
week,
are open. He's looking
yeah,
around a little bit.
he doesn't think I'm crazy anymore. Put it that
Right.
way.
Right.
But so since coming back from London and being back on, like, me being carnivore and my
Mhm.
husband, I don't know what he is, animal based, I suppose. Um, and already he said his plantar fasciitis gone, his pain in his hamstrings gone, and he's not blocked up. So what does that tell you?
I mean, it almost sounds kind of like keto in some ways. I mean, he's still doing animal. He's doing a little bit of, a little bit of carbs, just, probably from the fruit.
Yeah.
But, geez, even if nothing else, that has gotta he's got to be able to see improvement in his life just
Yeah.
from that.
Yeah, he definitely has. So he's definitely on board with it, and he's obviously so thankful for what it's done for me, and he's seen how it's helped me because he was obviously with me in my at the worst time of my life when I
Right.
didn't want to be here anymore. So he's been
Right.
with me through all of that, and to just see this massive change is obviously for him. He's been there, he's seen it all, so he's really behind me on that now. um, but as for my extended family, my mum wasn't really happy about the idea when I first told her what I was doing. She
Mhm.
replied with what most people do and said, "Well, if that isn't a heart attack diet, then I don't know what is." And I thought, oh, I could so explain to you all of this, but you're not going to listen. And
Right.
so she was horrified, and she said, "Where did you get this diet from?" And I told her online, and she was like, "Oh, that's awful. Why are they putting this stuff on there?" And so I don't know if this was right or wrong, but I kind of avoided talking about it then with my mum because we would just end up in disagreement. She would think I'm going to have a heart attack, and I'm here saying, "No, I'm not. This is the best diet for me."
Yeah.
So we couldn't really agree. She couldn't really see why I was doing it or where I was going with that.
Yeah.
Um, so that was quite tough because, like I said, I wasn't being open about it then. I'd see her next
Mhm.
time, and she'd say, "Oh, what are you eating now?" And I would just say, "Oh, I've gone back to my veg and my fish and chicken diet." And then she'd be like, "Oh, that's good," because she just really wanted me to eat vegetables because they're good for you.
Right. Yeah.
She's like, broccoli is the most nutritious food you can eat. And I'm like, "Yeah, okay, mum, all right."
Okay.
So I would tell a little white lie and say I'm back on my vegetables because that made her happy, and she was like, "Yes."
Yeah.
until recently I went to stay with her, and
Hmm.
I was eating carnivore, and all I was eating the whole time I was there was ground beef.
Yeah.
And I thought, this is my chance to really prove to her and really tell her what
Yeah.
I do. And she actually came round to my way of thinking, to the point where she thought about trying it herself. So it
Yes.
was really good. And my mum, bless her, is suffering from a whole host of, she has fibromyalgia, she's got rheumatoid arthritis, she is not very well. But she did say to me, she said, when I left, she said, you know, I've been thinking about this all weekend, and I've been thinking about whether I should do the carnivore diet. Because I told
Mhm.
her, I said, if you start that, you can get rid of your fibromyalgia, you can get rid of your rheumatoid arthritis. But she did say to me, she said, I just don't think I'm ready yet. I don't think I can do it. So I didn't push her. I just said, that's
Right.
fair enough. But you know what I've said to you. And you know now, if you are desperate, like I was, I actually asked her that. I said, are you in a situation where you don't want to live anymore? And she said, no. And I said, I was. I said, so if you, God forbid, get to that point, you now have that knowledge that you know you have something if you
Yep.
are, if you get desperate.
Yep.
So I did kind of win her around, and she has accepted now that I eat carnivore.
Right. Well, and the nice thing too is, that seed, not only has now been planted, but it sounds like it's actually starting to grow a little bit.
Hmm.
So and I hate to say it, but just maybe a little more push, and that'll push her over the edge. But I mean
No,
that in a good way. But I mean, because honestly, that's all it takes, especially and see that's why I'm a real proponent of writing everything down or putting things in on video and putting it, even if you don't have to put even if you don't put it on YouTube, at least record everything that's going on. If you have a laundry list of things that are wrong, write them all down, and when you
yeah,
start, write about them every day, because everything is okay. Arthritis is still, pain is still 100%, this still 100%, but I'll bet you over time, though, that 100% is going to drop.
yeah,
And it may be just a little. You may get to 95, you may get to 90, who knows.
yeah.
And but see, that's why, especially for family, friends, people, I mean, even people you don't even know. If
Hmm.
if you can go and tell them, look, I used to have this and this and this and this and this. How did I change it? All I did was change my diet.
Yeah,
You know, yeah, they're probably gonna look at you like, what are you, nuts? But it's as long as you're consistent, and as long as your record keeping is consistent, then honestly, then all you have to do is say, go to my YouTube page and look, or pull out your, I mean, good Lord, why not just have the journal with you? And then you could turn to, page 1. This is everything. Page 10. Here we are. Things are getting better. Here we
yeah.
are today.
Yeah,
So,
that's right. Do you know, I find that actually one of the hardest things is when you look around people, or you're talking to friends and they're telling you all these problems. And I just think, I just feel like I have the knowledge and the answers. And you feel like you want to help everybody. And then you
oh
realize
yeah,
that you can't help everybody because not everybody will listen. But
yeah,
it's so I do find it so frustrating that I'm like, I can help you, I can make you better. But like you said, some people will listen, and other people just aren't ready, and they just don't want to know. But I do find that very difficult. And I think when you are healthy, and we now have this knowledge, you actually realize how sick everybody around you actually is.
right, right. And
You just
if your husband, comes around fully, if your mom comes around fully, I mean, there you go. I mean, there's, yourself plus 2 other people that can go and tell all kinds of other people.
Mhm.
And it'll just be, even if it's just, honestly, even if you tell 10 people, but you get one person to listen and to actually think about it and start going, looking
Yeah.
into it, there you go.
That's
you
it.
know
That's
uh,
all we want. That's all we want. That's exactly why I started. I did think about it for a while, but I started the YouTube channel because when I was desperate, I found YouTube actually saved me, and I have to say thank you to Kerry at Homestead How, because he started very similar time, just a bit before me, and he really encouraged me through it because I saw what amazing results he was having.
Right.
And also, I think it's Dave, is he at Zero Carb?
Yeah.
And
I
then
think so.
also all your Dr. Ken Berry and all of that.
Right.
And they really, really helped me and really pushed me to do it. And I just think if I can give my story, as you are as well, that hopefully if somebody is desperate like I was and have come to YouTube to find hope, that
Mhm.
hopefully they will just click on one of us, because I know there's many of us now, which is great. I think more and more
Right.
people are putting their stories out there and making a channel about it, which is amazing. But if they are that desperate and they just find at least one of us, and then
Mhm.
like you said, if you're helping just one person, that's your job done. That is
Right.
you've helped somebody.
Well,
So
I know we're getting close to time here, but I had one other question. Is there, so, we've talked about a lot of different things. Is there anything else that you wanted to bring up, that you haven't discussed, that you wanted to, you know, tell people, kind of get off your chest as far as, you know, think about this? Is there anything else that you wanted to bring up?
um I suppose the only other thing that I do find quite sad is, or for example, when we went away to the wedding and when I went to London that weekend, I think, well, I believe that this is our proper human diet.
Mhm.
This is how we should eat, and this is what we probably did eat a long, 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 long time ago. And I think if this is our proper diet, it's very, very sad that it's so difficult to get our hands on. If you go out, like I said, when I was in London, trying to get a slab of meat that's not covered in oils and seed oils and all this, and just a pure piece of meat,
Yeah.
everywhere you go is processed convenient food. And I just
Yeah.
think, how sad is it that this is our proper human diet and it's not actually that accessible when you're in a
Right.
situation like that? It's so
Yeah.
easy to go and pick up a sandwich. It's so easy to go and pick up a chocolate
Mhm.
bar, a packet of crisps, but this is all what they're pushing for us to go and get. And everywhere you look around you, people are eating processed rubbish food. And
Yep.
I just did think to myself last weekend when I was in London, I thought, do you know what? That's pretty sad, really. And I do find it pretty sad that if you're on a carnivore diet, that you are the weird one, you know?
Yep.
I never feel really comfortable. I feel a bit better about it now, but in the beginning I wouldn't have gone, oh hey, I'm just, all I do is eat meat, because I would have felt a bit insecure about that, thinking, well, they're gonna think that I'm really weird.
Right.
But why am I the weird one when I'm eating what we're supposed to be eating?
Yep.
And I just think, where's it all gone wrong? I don't know, but it has definitely gone wrong. And I just think that sort of really hit me, that I think we are the weird ones for eating what we are supposed to be eating.
Right. Well, and unfortunately, I think a lot of people have said that it all comes down to money. It all comes down to,
Mhm.
these big sugar companies, these people who make, all these processed foods. They want you eating what they put out so that they can put money in their pocket. Whereas you've got farmers who are, all across this country, and even probably all around the world, that are struggling, even though what they have, what they're raising, what they sell is the best thing for you. And
Yeah,
like you were saying earlier, I think the more people that we can wake up, I mean, it's, the idea of the matrix. I can give you the blue pill and you can just keep eating everything that you want, and who cares? But if I give you the red pill, you're gonna finally wake up and wise up to the fact that what you're eating is horrible and is killing you, and your laundry list of issues more than likely is coming from the food.
yeah,
So
exactly. Definitely,
but
100%.
yeah.
I
Well,
know.
Lauren, I want to say thank you for coming on and taking the time to do this. I know we were kind of in a rush to
I know,
to get this
sorry.
set out.
I'm so sorry about that. That was completely my fault. But can I just say thank you to you too as well, because I think what you are doing, along with all the other people, I had one with JT Poco Moonshine, I think he is, the other day,
Okay.
and he's doing the same. He's interviewing people and getting everybody's stories out there. But without people like you guys doing this, it wouldn't be getting out so much as it is. So I just want to say thank you to you as well.
Yeah.
And congratulations on your channel, because you're doing so well.
Thank you. It's funny is, when I started, I started Carnivore back in May. I really honestly was thinking about doing this, but at the time, I think I wanted to give myself enough time because, I've done diets in the past where I started, I've stopped, I've lost weight, then I gained it all back and then some. So
Yeah.
it was like, okay, I want to give myself enough time to really see if I'm going to stick with this. And then there I was, like 5 weeks later. I'm like, okay, let's just do this. And
Yeah.
and
No,
it felt like I was really like rolling dice. It's like, okay, uh, I could probably just kind of talk my way through my first video, but I don't know if anybody's gonna
yeah.
watch.
I know it's a bit like that, isn't it? But like you said, even if just one person watches, you've like
Yeah,
helped one person. So
yeah.
that's all we want, isn't it? That's all we want. Can I just ask, have your skin tags, are they still getting less? Because I've still got mine and I don't know what point they're supposed to go away.
Yeah, so see, okay, so one of the things that like I inherited from my dad was, a lot of moles. I got like tons of them like all over. But like I've got some that were around my neck and they were a lot bigger. I mean, they actually did stick out. And now, I don't know if I can find any, but now I've got some that are just, I mean, like speck. I mean, it's just like it hasn't fully gone away, but it's like gone back in. And
Amazing.
yeah, I mean, and I think Dr. Barry even has a video on skin tags and
Yeah, I've
you
seen
know
that.
and how does it start? How does it start with the the horrible food that you're eating
Yeah.
and being overweight? Actually, no, that's not even true because um well, a lot of it especially in the video, a lot of it had to do with people, you know, being overweight. But like when I discovered you and your videos, you were talking about the fact that, hey, I'm not overweight. I've never had a weight problem. Yet I have my laundry list of stuff and, carnivore. Uh-oh, I think I lost her. And carnivore is changing it. Okay. Yeah. All right. So, Lauren, so again, thank you very much for coming on. Sorry that you had to drop off like this, but that's okay.